Detroit's always been a city that makes things. Music, motor vehicles, muscle, meaning.
Boys and Girls Club, it was a place to come together. It was a place that we could all feel safe at too. And it was a place that you could just tell it attracted a certain type of person, certain type of kids that were hungry for more.
For Big Sean, that hunger found a home.
I could see you wearing it for a music video.
Man, I could see that too.
For Usher, the Boys and Girls Club brought direction.
You know, that environment gave me mentorship. It gave me an understanding of what it is to be a mentor. And we're just living in a time now, where, I think kids who are 14 and older can really benefit from access to the type of tools we're trying to give them.
Now, inside the walls of Michigan Central Station, history and possibility collide.
This is like the fashion studio.
On the 5th floor of Michigan Central in Detroit, brand new state-of-the-art facilities are opening. Not built by corporation, but by community.
So everything you see in there, literally in the window, hanging, was designed and hand-sewn by youth.
Wow.
You ready?
What brings them here is a shared mission. Two megastars shaped by the same place. Usher Raymond, the voice behind a generation of R&B, the artist who gave the world You Make Me Wanna.
How you make me wanna be the one I'm waiting for, a new relationship with you.
More than 80 million records sold, 8 Grammy Awards, a cultural icon whose album Confessions catapulted him into superstardom. And then there's Detroit's own rapper Big Sean. He burst on the scene with underground songs like Super Duper Lemonade.
Kanye first, and I'm coming after. And Louboutin shoes, dimes of the Jaspers.
Before becoming a household name with hits like Blessings.
Blessings on blessings on blessings. Look at my life, man, that's lessons on lessons on lessons.
Now, as multi-platinum artists, they've come full circle, returning to the program that once gave them refuge, the Boys and Girls Club. Their latest commitment, a $1 million investment, an entertainment incubator designed to turn creativity into careers. The result? Rooms dedicated to the future, fashion and design studios, music labs, autonomous driving workshops. In these rooms, they don't just see potential, they see themselves.
We have youth who build drones, build vehicles, compete, and then we send them to Abu Dhabi to race in autonomous racing.
Sean Wilson is the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Detroit. He's also the connective tissue between these two artists. And together, collaboration becomes infrastructure and access becomes empowerment.
When you're able to find like-minded individuals doing like-minded work, then it's easier to combine them, right? And both organizations, Usher's New Look, Boys and Girls Club Greater Detroit, focused on economic mobility, right? Focused on the root cause of issues facing a lot of our youth, which is poverty. So you address poverty by giving youth access, but not just access to economic capital, but a human, social, cultural, wellness capital.
When you think about, change doesn't just start from, one person's efforts. It's a collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
So to be supportive of what he's doing and for him to be supportive of what I'm doing as well is where it all came together.
Yes.
So we put our ideas together, the studio, the Spark Lab, and here we have an innovation center, an innovation lab that gives, real opportunity for economic empowerment.
What does the Boys and Girls Club mean to you all from your own childhoods?
In a city like Detroit, it was easy to fall into the wrong things. It was easy to fall into, a lot of my friends sold drugs. A lot of my friends did just a lot of things that was super easy to get into, and at the time may have been more profitable at the moment, you know what I'm saying? But it was something about the Boys and Girls Club that was welcoming and just had that positive energy. And my whole life, I've just been about that positive energy.
And this collaboration isn't a one-off. Big Sean has the Sean Anderson Foundation, and Usher has Usher's New Look, both rooted in family, rooted in community.
14 years ago, what made you decide you're going to found the Sean Anderson Foundation?
It was just something that my mom was on my head about to give back, to be in it when I was in a moment in my life where I could really give back the way that I started to when we started the foundation. You know, she made that just as important as me finishing my album and just as important as me doing press and tours. You know, that's something that's been instilled in our family since the beginning, of just always donating to our charities every year, no matter whether it was a good year, not a good year financially. I come from such a beautiful lineage of strong Black men and women. So, yeah, it was just something that was just easy for us to get into, and something that we just built in the city and focused on it. We didn't try and do too many things at once. We focused on school-age youth. We focused on the city of Detroit. We focused on after-school programs. We focused on just the future.
How about for you, 1999? What was the inspiration for Usher's new look?
It was my mother too. Our moms are always the shining example and want us to do far more than what we're just focusing on. My mom, she really, I guess, instilled in me the importance of community and supporting the things that are in need.
Usher, you've talked before about how the neighborhood that you grew up in Atlanta, dreams often fell short. So was the Boys and Girls Club a safe haven or a place of refuge?
Absolutely. But greater than Atlanta, in Chattanooga. I was a part of Holland Park Boys Club. I've always been about motivating kids and helping them understand how to reach their spark, right? And in essence, I think Big Sean is about the action of it, being able to have access to tools in a studio. So putting that together and doing it all under, you know, the space where we feel most comfortable, the music industry and entertainment industry, why not give kids an opportunity to have jobs, you know, an ability to express themselves in that way through what we're giving them here.
This is what access looks like.
You see that coat? Oh my God. You got to get a shot of this coat that she's working on. That's fire.
Thank you.
Confidence stitched together with belief.
The Boys and Girls Club has given me the opportunity to visualize myself in creative spaces. A big part of the reason I was able to execute this project so well and feel so confident in the process in general was because I went through the Boys and Girls Club and I was able to master those skills and meet so many people that believed in me to master those skills.
It kept me going, it kept me focused. There's been a lot of ups and downs in my life, and I haven't been as focused on what I've been on. So I think the Boys and Girls Club is like that reminder, like, hey, like, you need to do this.
A couple men in my family have died in the last few years, all with the name Ivory. So what we did was that I created a collection just to commemorate them. So it's gonna be a pair of denim, and I can't show it all today. It's gonna be a pair of denim, this graphic shirt, and also a reversible hat that I made.
For these young people, the future is no longer abstract.
Where do you all envision yourselves 5 years, 10 years from now?
In 5 years, I see myself just graduating college, and I see myself in the process of scaling my business to the heights that I want it to be.
I definitely feel like I want to start off working for a design house. I feel like there's a lot that can be learned from working for a design house and just allowing me to figure out the strategies needed to build my own brand.
So I'll see myself as a successful artist, independent artist, working with major fashion labels as a brand owner, but also working as an artist and selling my art.
You've told the story before that when you were at the point of graduating, you could have gotten a full scholarship, and your teacher said, when you said, I'm going to pursue a career in rap music, you're throwing your life away. Is the hope that children here might be able to do both?
Yeah, you know, I wish I would have got that advice then, that I could have just done both. But she said, what school do you plan on going to? You know, I had a 3.7 GPA. I had a lot of scholarships, and I was like, well, I'm actually thinking about not going to school and doing this rap thing full time. Like, and she was just like, oh, like, let's just be realistic here, you know, like, you don't want to throw your life away. Like, I don't see that, you know, this really doesn't happen, you know. So it wasn't a thing where she was like hating on me. It was kind of a thing of protection of her actually, you know, showing love to me. But yeah, I had that faith, you know, and I always say that faith is like that invisible bridge that you just got to walk on. And you don't see it, but it gets you from one side to another side. And that's something that I learned early on, and that was a very valuable lesson, to like follow my heart and listen to that faith.
And let's talk about faith. You started out, obviously, the church choir, 6 years old. Mom was also in the choir and the youth director. What role would you say that faith and that moment played as far as shaping your career?
I mean, the faith in the unseen and the fact that we're all kind of blessed to be vessels for some greater purpose is a part of everything that we're doing. You know, while faced with adversity, you could look at life as an obstacle, an opportunity. I've always looked at life as an opportunity to do something no matter what I'm going through or what my life looked like. Escapism was what I was searching for because of the environment that I was in.
Coming up, why Detroit is so important to Big Sean, and Usher gets reflective about his future.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Whether you call it the D or Motown, this is a city that hums with memory, a place where legacy isn't just remembered, it's felt. Detroit is home to giants, voices that shape generations. Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Jay Dilla. Big Sean is just the latest star to rise from the soil deeply rooted in the same ground that raised legends before him.
Yo, man, you already know what it is, Big Sean.
Now he stands shoulder to shoulder with Detroit rap royalty, rubbing elbows with Eminem and Royce da 5'9". Big Sean has never forgotten where he's from or what helped him get here.
Of course, you've been called Detroit's hometown hero, even named 2 albums after Detroit from the West Side. What makes this city so special to you, and why is this Boys and Girls Club in particular so necessary here?
It's a magical place. You know, it's nothing like it because we have endured such pain, such struggle. We're the only city to ever go bankrupt. We were also the center of the country at one point during the automotive industry. You know, that's why my family ended up here in the first place. Henry Ford was paying black and white people equal pay. You know, when he created the assembly line and created the 5-day work week, you know, he was paying black and white families the same and giving equal opportunity at a time where that was just, I'm sure he got a lot of for that. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta show my respect to Detroit, man, for just being such a resilient city. Everywhere you go, like, we support each other like no other. That's why I feel the dedication to be here and be a hometown hero.
For Sean, it's not just a title, it's a responsibility. On the morning of the Boys and Girls Club grand opening, after receiving devastating news about the suicide of a loved one, he still showed up, talking to a room full of the club's young people about the importance of mental health, not as a superstar, but as a survivor.
You know, I've sold hundreds of millions of records. You don't know how many ups and downs, bro, I done went through, and so many disappointments I done went through, and so many gut punches, and times where I did want to take my life too. You see what I'm saying? Times where it just wasn't working out for me. And I got my little boy now, and I'm just like happy I never did that. But my point is that y'all lives is worth more than like gold. So just remember that for real. And like that's the reason we doing this is because we believe in y'all.
You've talked about how when Nipsey passed away in 2019, that really put you in a dark space. You've been really open about talking about going to therapy, dealing with depression, anxiety. What made you decide? Because that often is very taboo in the Black community in particular for a man. What made you decide you were going to come forward and share that?
I was just sharing what was going on in my life. I didn't realize that I was being so vulnerable. I wasn't trying to like be a spokesperson for mental health per se, you know. I was just expressing how I was and was going into therapy and experienced a time of heavy ups and downs, a time of depression. I felt like I hit a wall in my life and I either had to climb over it or it was going to fall on me and crush me. I had to rediscover myself. I didn't even know what I liked anymore. I didn't even know what I was into anymore. I had been so about my work that I lost touch with the person that I was. So I think that led to a very deep battle of depression, deeper than I have experienced when I was like a teenager and, you know, mad things aren't going my way. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So I had to reaffirm my faith. I had to take time away from the music industry being my first obligation. And and I had to put myself first. And it also taught me how important the mind, body, and spirit are, how interconnected they are. You know, really taking care of myself, my diet, being in the gym, taking time to meditate, taking time to have fun. You got to be serious about having fun. I'm telling you, for real, you got to be serious about having fun, because as fast as time goes, we're here for a limited amount of time. You know, we got all these goals, all these dreams, but what if this is our only time to actually experience this friction and experience these feelings while we're in our bodies? You know, when we leave our bodies, maybe we won't have the pleasure of being hungry, of enjoying our favorite food, of hugging our loved ones, of experiencing depression, actually, experiencing loss, experiencing the you know, hurt of being disappointed, but then realizing that that's the same thing that's gonna fulfill you and take you to the win that you've been looking for. You know, there's so many lessons in that time that I learned in my life. So I'm just happy to be here, enjoying myself.
Usher, let's go back 2004. You were almost thinking about maybe stepping away from music. Confessions had done so well.
Oh,
And
damn,
then,
for real? Oh, man.
it seems like the best was still yet to come. How were you able to recreate that magic again? You do the Super Bowl. And did you feel like the Super Bowl was, so it's kind of two questions there. How did you recreate it when you were thinking about walking away? And do you feel the Super Bowl was the height of your career?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think that the Super Bowl was the height of my career. I think it's a moment to remember. I always say the best is yet to come.
Okay. Haven't had the height yet.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm done.
Right.
Maybe the final day will be the grand day, you know. But you know, I think anybody who has been an artist at any level of intellectual property, right, and an idea of trying to find inspiration, sometimes you can lack it, especially if you're, you know, solely focused on, you know, kind of a certain level of recognition, right? You sell, you know, 1.1 million units in the first week. You sell 10 million albums. You're like, I don't even know if I want the pressure of trying to beat that again. So I think some portion of that bared relevant to me. And then also to just this idea of being an artist that long and being a work for hire for a label of which I didn't own my masters and did not really have any control outside of what I did intellectually with it afterwards. All of those things weighed into, you know, if some people were asking, like, why you take 3 years to put out an album every time? Because I'm dealing with the reality of what it is that, you know, I signed when I was a teenager. And the reality of being able to sustain the lifestyle that I had made for myself and my family caused me to have to be away from just making music and having to travel and do other things and work, which takes a certain amount of focus. And even to sustain that is a lot because, you know, you can get lost in it. But I didn't. And I think another part of it was the fact that I did not have a relationship with my father at the time. And I was moving into a new maturity and a new level, which then I would, you know, have children. I would be married. So all of everything that mattered changed. My perspective changed. And I think that that's where the thought of maybe it's time for me to just chill and go do something else. Cause I've done that, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So, but obviously I wasn't finished because there was more to offer. There was more to do. But yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
You were talking earlier about, you know, your lineage. For you, your grandmother Mildred. For you, grandmother Tina. You've said that she was a prayer warrior. Of your grandmother, she was one of the first Black females as a captain in the U.S. Army, serving in World War II. What would you say you learned from your grandmothers?
Man, what I learned from my grandma was that she taught me how to show love more than just say you love someone. She taught me like dedication, hard work. She was the toughest person I've ever met in a great way though, meaning not tough love, but just very resilient. You know, she brought the family together. And if you dig deep enough, you can get the answers of your ancestors just by channeling and really going within. So that is something that I learned from them indirectly, especially having a child of my own now. I wonder what they would have done. You know, if I really take time, sit with myself, and I'm silent enough, I could probably come to the conclusion of what they would have done or what they would tell me, you know.
How about Tina for you?
And not just my grandma Tina, but our elders, period, right? Because they wanted better for us. And as a result of what they knew, they offered. They wanted to bring joy. Of course, their life looked much different. The circumstances of that time cope with, you know, just the reality of, you know, the children that they had and how hard their lives were as a result. They say you're as happy as your saddest child, right? But it was my auntie, you know, and her pound cake. It was my nanny, right, who instilled these moral values to help those in need. It was my mother reminding me that that is who I am innately, underneath all of my admiration and ambition. You know, I guess if anything, you're blessed to be a blessing.
In a city that's known collapse and comeback, pain and pride, what they're creating here isn't just a building, it's a blueprint.
Usher, you've said before that losers let things happen, winners make things happen. Losers take chances, winners make choices. What would you say is one of the proudest choices that you've made?
Teaming up with this man.
I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, man, for sure.
You know, I think that we are a product of our environment, and it, you know, this innovative club being here in the heart of the city is to be a shining example of what other clubs could be. It doesn't stop here, right? While I have been able to engineer and make space for Spark Labs in Atlanta, and he's done what he's done with studios here in Detroit, now bringing our efforts together. Once this works, my hopes are that similar clubs will implement the same idea and understand the value of what it offers. So we really do welcome people to come and see it and support it, because it's here for you. But know that it doesn't stop here. We're thinking 25 years from now. We want 500 clubs to be able to adopt this, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Remember what I did with what I was given. You know, if there's any thing that I can say I'm very fortunate to have been, is a vessel. You know, yeah, I'm popular, and I'm pretty great at, I'm awesome at what I do. But the reality is I am a vessel, and everybody has that same opportunity so long as they open themselves up to it. You do not have to be a product of your environment. You could be a product of your experience. And I want to give you that new look so that you can find what it is that you do. I am you. I've been there. I was that kid. So when we're mentoring these young people, I feel like I'm looking at myself. This is a legacy moment.